Before Prince Sigurd was even born, his father was killed in battle. The young prince grew up in a royal vacuum, inheriting only the shattered fragments of a legendary sword that his mother rescued from the mud. His mother held on to a prophecy. She expected her son to take those broken pieces and grow up into one of the greatest heroes of all time. Sigurd had absolutely zero victories to his name, yet the weight of that expectation shadowed his every move. Sigurd's greatest weakness was a blinding, desperate need to prove his worth to a legacy he barely understood. That desperation made him the perfect target for his royal tutor, Regin. Knowing the boy needed a quest, Regin directed Sigurd to hunt down the terrifying dragon Fafnir and claim its hidden treasure. What the tutor conveniently withheld from his student was Fafnir's true identity. The reptile was actually Regin's own brother. This flowchart tracks the origin of Fafnir's mutation. The family had received a massive hoard of dwarf gold as a blood price for the murder of their middle brother. But that gold carried a terrible curse. Fafnir's intense greed over this specific hoard caused him to literally mutate into a monstrous reptile to guard it. Driven by that cursed greed, Fafnir murdered their father and took the entire hoard. Regin was left completely isolated, cut off from the wealth and hungry for vengeance. So, while the young prince fully believed he was embarking on a noble coming-of-age quest, he was actually being deployed as a disposable assassin in his mentor's cursed family feud. Sigurd started preparing for the hunt, but on his way to the stables he encountered a mysterious old man. This was actually Odin, ruler of the gods. Odin advised him to drive the kingdom's horses into an icy river and select the only one capable of swimming across. Sigurd listened, securing a divine gray mare descended from Odin's own steed. Back at the palace, Regin offered to forge a weapon for the battle, but the heavy, shining swords he produced kept shattering into pieces the moment Sigurd tested them against solid stone. Growing highly suspicious of his tutor's inadequate tools, the prince rejected them. He handed over the broken fragments of his father's legendary blade and demanded Regin reforge those exact pieces into a new sword. When the old steel was bound together again, Sigurd brought it down hard, slicing cleanly through a solid iron anvil without a crack. By securing his own divine horse and trusting his ancestral weapon over his mentor's cheap gifts, Sigurd took his first unconscious step away from Regin's total manipulation. The two men rode out to a bleak, desolate ravine. A massive, slimy trail, thick like a caravan's path, carved through the dirt, revealing the sheer, lethal size of the monster they were hunting. Regin instructed the boy to stand to the side as the dragon passed. If he stepped in front, the poisonous breath would kill him. If he stepped behind, the tail would crush him. It was terrible tactical advice, secretly designed to get the prince killed. This cross-section shows Sigurd's alternative strategy. He dug a deep trench underneath the dragon's pathway, creating a hidden blind spot. He sat in the camouflage dugout as the ground vibrated. The heavy reptile dragged itself closer until its massive weight stopped directly over the pit. Without a second to lose, Sigurd thrust his father's reforged blade violently upward, driving the steel through the camouflage and deep into Fafnir's heart. The monster thrashed, shattering stones and snapping trees before croaking a final prophecy. "Whoever you are, my gold will bring you death." Sigurd had won the physical battle against the monster, but by claiming the victory, he had just willingly stepped into the epicenter of a lethal magical trap. Only after the dust settled and the danger was entirely gone did Regin finally climb down into the ravine. He immediately gave Sigurd a bizarre command: cut out the dead dragon's heart and roast it for him over a fire. Still trying to please his tutor, Sigurd obliged. As the heart sizzled over the flames, hot grease violently popped. Sigurd burned his finger, instantly shoving the bloodied digit into his mouth. The moment Fafnir's blood touched his tongue, the chaotic chirping of the surrounding forest snapped into sharp focus. Suddenly, the ambient noise resolved into intelligible bird speech. A brief, visceral moment of vulnerability granted the young prince the one thing Regin had desperately tried to keep from him: the absolute truth of his situation. The birds were explicitly warning him. They revealed that Regin was preparing to betray the boy who trusted him, planning to murder the exhausted prince and take the cursed gold for himself. The illusion of the benevolent mentor vanished. In a sudden, passionate rage, Sigurd drew his father's blade a second time and executed Regin where he stood. With both brothers dead, Sigurd gathered the cursed treasure and climbed out of the bloody ravine, riding off to find a new destiny with a bride named Brynhilde. In the myth of Sigurd, true heroism rests on the wisdom to recognize and destroy the manipulators pulling the strings.